It's really very good. I think it'll sell. By the way, how long did this draft take you?
There can be no doubt about his sex, despite the feminine appearance that every young man of the time aspires to.
Do not fade, Orlando. Do not grow old.
Sasha, I cannot think of a life without you.
I see. You're here as a casualty of love.
To me, you were and always will be, whether male or female, the pink, the pearl, and the perfection of your sex.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chump some of this shit.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Oh, what's in the box?
Greetings, friends. Welcome to the Cinema Sandbox. I'm Christopher G.
I'm Jordan Sherwood. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the second episode of our Pride Month Spectacular Celebration. We are going to look at 4 films this June. We started with Morris from 1987.
Then we're looking at The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert from 94.
And A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge from 1985. But first, today we're going to talk about Orlando from 1992.
Sally Potter's sumptuous setting. It's sort of amusing on, very loosely adapted from the Virginia Woolf novel Orlando from 1928. This novel has been described as sort of a love letter to Virginia Woolf's friend and lover Vita Sackville West, who was from a noble family, I guess, and was also a writer. It's sort of a fantasy novel in a way because it involves time travel and immortality and gender fluidity and all sorts of ideas that were kind of ahead of their time, at least in mainstream cinema.
And not to mention the themes, in the book being so ahead of their time for 1928. Sally Potter directed this.
It's the story of somebody who is first a man and then a woman. So it's an opportunity to look at life from both sides of what's thought of as a divide that is impossible to cross.
She worked really hard to get this one done. I read somewhere that it's...
Sally Potter?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This was a trial of many different countries, many different governments. They shot in Russia, they shot in England, they shot in Uzbekistan. It's an incredibly gorgeous film for the budget. I mean, every last damn cent is on screen.
It's magical. It seriously is.
The character, time travels through these different eras, and it's never really explained. It's sort of just fantasy. It's magical, and we are just to accept the premise that the character sort of exists outside of the constraints of time and space and history, and that does give Orlando this kind of, not quite godlike, but sort of, outsider position where she's kind of observing everything as well. But what I love about the film is, oh my gosh, Tilda Swinton playing Orlando, the supporting cast, including Billy Zane, all sorts of British actors that are, just sort of staples of the British cinema. Sumptuous costume design, nominated for an Academy Award, of course.
Before we get into the plot, I want to talk about Quentin Crisp and Jimmy Somerville as well, because they are really big parts of this.
Quentin Crisp, one of the first kind of public figures to live authentically as an out, at the time, gay person, but sort of in the later years, identified as trans woman.
Are you thought of now as a pioneer or a barrier breaker or a champion of the cause, or?
No, I'm considered to be rather a nuisance.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, they want to pass themselves off as members of the community. Mm-hmm. They want to take their place in society. Never do that. Stay right where you are and wait for society to form itself around you.
And so at the time, the portrayal was sort of seen more as a drag role. But now, in retrospect, we see that it was actually a trans person performing.
Further underlines the theme of gender fluidity and how insignificant yet significant these things are in each of our lives as individuals and how society treats us.
I think that we're human beings and often trapped in an illusion of difference because of the way that we've been educated or trained, or both emotionally and with ideas and so on, since very early times in our lives. And I think the reality is we have much more in common than we have different.
And then I also wanted to just talk really quickly about Sally Potter resisting the feminist label, because that was kind of important discovery I made.
She said that it was used against her to belittle her.
She said when you would say the word feminist in interviews, for instance, that people's eyes would glaze over and they would see the term feminist before the artist. And she wanted people to see the artist first. So she rejected a lot of that labeling, which I think is interesting.
I think that gives you the ability to reject labels when you practice what you preach.
Right.
When you let your actions speak for themselves.
Well, people start also using these constructs as kind of a blunt force object to beat you down with. You know, we've seen this.
Just like with the word woke.
With the word woke. We see that
word came about to express you are becoming aware of the ways in which society oppresses people. And now it's just being used to say, oh, well, I don't like that. Or that's faggy. Or that's
anti-white. Or it's whatever.
It's the same fucking thing.
Right. So this is a very real problem where, you know, you have these kind of constructs that people then co-opt and use against you. And I think she was very conscious of that. And that's why she rejected those labels. But, you know, like, look at her work speaks for itself. So. Where sweet
Jimmy Somerville. If you haven't heard of him, you definitely know the song Small Town Boy.
And he considers himself kind of an activistic musician as well. A lot of themes of like bullying and, you know, queer bashing and stuff like that. It appears in a lot of his videos, and trying to be like queer positive in a lot of his work.
On Metacritic, it has a Metascore of 75. User score a little bit less, a 6.8 out of 10. On Letterboxd, it has a 3.9, and on IMDb, a 7.1 out of 10. Matthew Connolly of Slant Magazine gave it an 88. He said, rarely have source material, director, and leading actress been more in alignment than in Orlando.
Lightning in a bottle for sure, right?
IMDb user Tritison gave it an 8 out of 10, and they said, after watching it, I feel as though a fairy enchanted the air around me.
Okay, that's...
Not crazy about their use of the word fairy. No, I'm just kidding. Letterboxd user Ely gave it 4 stars. They said, I Googled what are Tilda Swinton's pronouns while watching this and couldn't find any clear results. Then I realized how idiotic it was of me to think I could address Tilda at all.
Well, it should be noted that both Tilda Swinton and Sally Potter identify as queer on some level. And in both cases, I think they're referring to queer as a sensibility.
Let's get into the plot.
There can be no doubt about his sex, despite the feminine appearance that every young man of the time aspires to.
Poofy pants. You can put things in there.
Take snacks into the movie theater.
Orlando is, as you mentioned, spanning about 400 years in this title character of Orlando, who starts as a nobleman in England, and then at a midpoint in the film transitions or transforms into a woman. So the film is structured in several different eras, starting in 1600, and each section is kind of designated with just a single word, the first section being death. And it starts off with a young Orlando, played by Tilda Swinton, under an oak tree, just writing, you know, facing a blank page. But we get a little bit of the Virginia Woolf voice coming in right away.
Though heir to a name that meant power, land, and property, Surely when Orlando was born, it wasn't privilege he sought, but company.
Orlando's family is hosting a visit from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I, who is coming down, I guess, the Thames or whatever river there, a big flotilla, which is beautiful candlelit flotilla at night, with the dulcet tones of Jimmy Somerville.
Oh, blessed be each day and hour, where sweet Eliza builds her bower.
It's a pre-existing Elizabethan song, which I guess was written for Queen Elizabeth. This is the role played by Quentin Crisp. They're having a grand banquet, and Orlando gets up and is going to perform a poem, a sonnet for Her Majesty.
Ah, see the virgin rose, how sweetly she doth first peep forth.
The Queen is a little bit taken aback by, what does she say? Like, is this a worthy topic?
Is this a worthy topic from one so clearly in the bloom of youth to one who would desire it still?
So soon the Queen becomes enamored with Orlando and summons him into her chamber at night and gifts him the estate.
For you and for your heirs, Orlando, the house.
But on a condition.
Do not fade. Do not wither. Do not grow old.
Orlando does that. Doesn't fade, doesn't wither.
You got it.
Doesn't grow old. Then we cut to 1610, which is entitled Love.
Mm-hmm.
A real period in England's history called the Great Frost, where it was sort of like this mini ice age.
It's not funny.
This was shot in Russia using some other set from, they had leftovers for some war epic or something.
Oh, wow.
There's an entourage from Russia visiting, I guess. They called it Muscovy in the film. And Orlando immediately becomes enraptured with the young Russian princess named Sasha.
But he's already engaged.
He is.
Seems to completely forget she exists, like as soon as he sees this other princess.
So Orlando pledges his undying love to this Russian princess. The Russian princess says it can't be. When the ice breaks, we have to go back. And Orlando then suggests they kind of run away together.
We'll fly away as free as birds.
So Orlando goes to the bridge at midnight, waiting for the Russian princess, waiting for Sasha, and the ice starts to break, and no sign of the Russian princess. What does Orlando say at the end of that?
Oh, I don't remember. The treachery of women.
The treachery of women.
The treachery of women.
That's right.
Which is a recurring phrase that will pop up again. So this leads to a very dire situation for Orlando. He's stuck in bed in a deep depression, will not get up. And I love that sequence of the people coming up and down the stairs. First it's like one servant, then gets another servant, and then they go get a doctor, and then they bring in
Just escalates.
They bring in a choir to wake her up.
Shining wondrous day.
After Orlando's people wake him up, arouse him from his sleep finally.
Yeah.
It is 1650, and
Orlando has not aged.
No, not a bit. And this is where he continues to explore his creative side.
Poetry.
He enlists the help of a satirist, Nick Green.
Unfortunately, the Greens came down in the world, and we've done little more than leave our names in the borough of Greenwich.
Why do they do that?
I think it's a power thing.
I mean, is that a real thing? You would seat your guests
that's
that far away? Like Batman did it?
I've seen it in all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
It's like, don't breathe on me. Oh, maybe it's COVID. It's because they had the plague. There's social distancing. He's invited this poet over to kind of befriend and hopefully try to get a shoe into the literary world. But the poet is there for money.
Mr. Green, I wonder, would you be so kind as to give me your opinion of my efforts?
By all means. if I can find the time. For time is money, and I must write to eat. We're not in the pursuit of art.
Of course, I will arrange for the small matter of the £300.
To be paid quarterly?
As you wish.
My dear friend.
I think he does read his poems at one point to somebody else. He's having fun with it.
He's just reading it to the boatman that takes him back home.
She said she loved me, but she lied, and so betrayed. He fell and died.
He writes a critique on the poem and gives it back.
So fortune smiles on those that own the land, and frowns at trivia from the dabbler's hand.
But that's a kind of a devastating blow to Orlando, to have somebody he respects literary-wise kind of belittle and make fun of his love poem. It is a pretty bad poem, but it's, I think, meant to be satirical.
I would like you to drop this in the midst of the filthiest manure.
Mr. Green's pension, sir?
Pay it quarterly.
So King Charles II appoints Orlando to be an ambassador to Constantinople.
May I present myself? I am the Archduke Harry.
It's kind of a tense time to be there. They are kind of fending off some of their enemies.
I'm sorry to arrive in this fashion. Our enemies are at the city wall. Will you help?
And they do. Archduke Harry, his countryman, says, leave him.
Leave him? This is a dying man.
He's not a man, he's the enemy.
Again, this idea of how we have to create, different identities in order to cope with things. In this case, creating an other, creating an enemy, makes it possible for you to be inhumane, basically.
And I think that probably is another example of how this character, because they are essentially immortal, are kind of outside of all of these squabbles.
Mm-hmm.
They see all of these people as humans.
So after this battle, Orlando falls again into this kind of deep sleep. And then upon awakening, there's this beautiful sequence. We should mention that Sally Potter also did the score to this film, which she did with a composer named David Motion and the guitar work of Fred Frith. Sally Potter went and recorded some of her own vocals for this scene, and it's just a beautiful piece of music, a beautiful image. This is the central turning point of the film, where Orlando becomes a woman.
Same person. No difference at all. Just a different sex.
A lot of people, especially, people with trans journeys of their own, when they see this story, they find themselves on one side or the other of like, oh, I really appreciate how, not big of a deal it is. How she kind of blithely just like, oh, okay, I'm a woman now. And a lot of people kind of find themselves on the other side of it where it's like, oh, well, this is actually a really big deal in a trans person's life. In the novel, I think it says a little bit more, which might satisfy people on the other side of that reaction. The novel says, the change of sex, though it altered their future, did nothing whatever to alter their identity.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying the same thing, but I think in a little bit more of a delicate way that probably just wouldn't translate as well. Orlando, having been a male ambassador to Constantinople for all these years, now packs her bags and returns to England as a woman.
Well, here I am again.
Visually, the film is so beautiful and the costumes are so beautiful, but also they're not just always beauty for beauty's sake. The costumes, in a way, become part of character, and that's really an important distinction, because the first time we see Orlando, as a woman in her house, it's just a shot of her walking through all the furniture that's covered in
trying not to knock anything over.
Her fashion demands a different way of walking through her house. You know, it's a physical thing, but is also metaphoric for now the adjustments that Orlando is going to have to make now being a woman.
Is not this the lady famed for her literary gatherings?
Yes, ma'am. But you could not possibly venture there alone.
Why ever not?
Society, ma'am, is full of dangerous individuals, wits and poets.
We see the kind of discrimination encapsulated in the salon.
I have to tell you that the gout has left my left leg and is traveled to my right.
Ah, the conversation is of legs.
Can you imagine taking up a whole sofa by yourself because of your pants? And they would, you know, meet for tea or coffee in these salons and have these sparring matches with who could come up with the cleverest quip.
Sir, I admit your general rule that every poet is a fool. But you yourself may serve to show it that every fool is not a poet.
Mr. Pope, you are pleased to be witty.
The young lady who has joined us bears an extraordinary resemblance.
The Lady Orlando.
Immediately, she faces the misogyny and sexism of these male poets, these male wits who, you know, have all sorts of ideas about what a woman is and what a wife should be.
Women have no desires, only affectation.
Indeed, women are but children of larger growth.
Ah, but I consider woman to be a beautiful, romantic animal who should be adorned in furs and feathers, pearls and diamonds. Apart from my wife, of course, will insist upon attempting to learn Greek.
Orlando is kind of just stunned by all of it.
You are poets, each one of you, and speak of your muse in the feminine, and yet you appear to feel neither tenderness nor respect towards your wives, nor towards females in general.
Madam, you are a party to several major lawsuits that have been preferred against you concerning the property.
When the Archduke discovers that that Orlando is about to lose her estate, he offers to marry her to save her from destitution, I guess.
I can offer you a house to rival your own.
I don't quite understand.
I confess, Orlando, to me, you were and always will be, whether male or female, the pink, the pearl, and the perfection of your sex.
He's like, come on, we gotta...
This isn't for us.
And Orlando isn't into that.
Refusing me?
I am. I'm sorry.
But Orlando, with your history, quite frankly, who else would have you?
Anyway, she runs off, and beautiful sequence of her just in a huff. This allows us another jump in time. Now Orlando is in the Victorian era and is like running through the spiel. She trips and falls, and then lo and behold, this dashing young man on a horse comes riding in. And she immediately just looks up and says, "Will you marry me?" He's an adventurer named Shelmerdine. He's an American, and he's kind of a freedom fighter. You know, he spouts stuff about liberty and justice, and, you know, he's trying to change, you know, the social order for the better.
If I were a man...
You?
I might choose not to risk my life for an uncertain cause.
And I read about Sally Potter, you know, that scene where they're talking about, if I were a man, maybe I would choose not to be heroic. And he says, if I were a woman, maybe I would choose not to be motherly. And, you know, like, again, playing with what are these artificial constructs of what women and men should be and whatnot.
Say if I was a woman.
You.
I might choose not to sacrifice my life caring for my children.
Sally Potter deliberately chose to shoot it in one long take using camera movement and back and forth, which is much more difficult because you have to get it right. And if somebody screws up, you got to go back to the beginning. There's no cutting away.
Yeah, he has this sense of independence And also a respect for her independence. I just right people, wrong time and place.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretty. Like there's guys that are like hot or attractive or whatever. He's just pretty.
My sex is pronounced indisputably and beyond the shadow of a doubt female. Therefore, heirs male of my body, well, the rest can be taken as read. I lose everything unless I have a son.
So she is not going to America. She's going to stay back and fight for her estate.
I can't just follow you.
You can stay and stagnate in the past or leave and live for the future. The choice is yours.
As a man, one has choices, Shelmadine.
Orlando, you can do whatever you want.
Would you like to have a child with me?
So that you can keep your house.
So we do another time jump where Orlando's running through some kind of war-torn, I guess we're to assume it's World War I. We jump ahead to present day, at the time, 1992. She now is riding through London with her little motorcycle and with a sidecar and her daughter.
Single mom on a motorcycle, just looking like a badass.
But she's finally completed her literary work, which she's bringing to a publisher, played by Heathcote Williams, who played Green in the writer, the poet that humiliated her earlier. Now he's
oh wow!
Now he's
I didn't notice that.
Oh, you didn't notice that?
No.
He's some kind of like literary agent now.
It's really very good. Written from the heart. I think it'll sell.
And then so the film ends with her back at that oak tree from the beginning of the film where Orlando was sitting underneath. A beautiful version of that song, I Am Coming, by Jimmy Somerville. And he appears in the film as the angel.
Yeah, she looks up.
Why are you sad?
I'm not. I'm happy. Look up there.
Yes, at last to be free of the past.
He's singing, and the lyrics are very important. I'm coming, I'm coming, here at last, neither a woman nor a man. You know, all the lyrics that kind of sum up the film in a way.
There can be no doubt about his sex.
At the beginning, she is talking about how Orlando as a man has these feminine qualities.
Despite the feminine appearance that every young man of the time aspires to.
And then she kind of says the opposite at the end.
She is tall and slim, with a slightly androgynous appearance that many females of the time aspire to.
I really loved that, how it was just kind of turned.
And it also made me think of that meme. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme, you know, where you get all these kind of like shithead bros who are like, bro, why are men not like men like they used to be?
I am coming, here I am, neither a woman nor a man.
That brings us to the end of the film. It ends where it began, and under the oak tree with Orlando crying. And I think the crying to me is just a sense of release, a sense of freedom, and touching something ethereal maybe, that she's finally arrived at some kind of happiness.
This novel came out in 1928. This was at the same time that Radcliffe Hall, another female writer, had gotten herself into trouble with the release of The Well of Loneliness. She was put on trial, and the publisher as well. It was the depiction of lesbianism in that book, and they said it was unnatural relations between two women. They found the publisher and the author to be guilty of these charges and ordered all existing copies of this book to be rounded up and destroyed.
But how did Virginia Woolf escape?
It was just less direct about all of these themes, more poetic, more metaphorical.
The film was a financial success, and it really did launch the career in a big way internationally of Tilda Swinton, who had already been associated with kind of new queer cinema in England at the time, you know, working with filmmakers like Derek Jarman.
We like to think about what we watch today, what does it remind us of? And what else would we recommend in this same vein? I thought about Paris is Burning.
You have space to do all that you intend to.
This movie is about the ball circuit, a competition among gay people under one roof.
It's like crossing into the looking glass.
It's a documentary. It focuses on the ballroom scene, which was really big in Harlem with the Black and Latin trans gay.
And there was like these rival kind of posses.
All of these different houses that kind of sprung up.
My name is Angie Extravaganza, and I am the mother of the House of Extravaganza.
I'm Willie Ninja, the mother of the House of Ninja. Ninjas hit hard, they hit fast. We come out to assassinate.
I am Pepper LaBeija, the legendary mother of the House of LaBeija, and I've been around for 2 decades.
It's where we get voguing. We see its influence has kind of sprung out all throughout culture today.
Some of them say that we're sick, we're crazy, and some of them think that we are the most gorgeous, special things on earth.
I want to recommend Orlando, My Political Biography, and it's a 2003 film.
Someone once asked me, why don't you write your biography? I replied, because fucking Virginia Woolf wrote my biography in 1928.
By Spanish filmmaker Paul B. Preciado. This is a documentary film, and it takes the idea of the Book of Orlando, the premise that the character of Orlando has burst from the fiction. And,
I love that.
And that all trans people are embodiments in some aspect of Orlando.
The contemporary world is full of Orlandos. We're changing the course of history.
Orlando.
Being able to step out into the world and be your authentic self, especially if it goes against the grain in this way, is so brave.
Mm-hmm. And given the current political climate and what's happening with funding for trans youth and all that sort of stuff, it's really heartbreaking. And you and I personally know people who are dealing with these very real issues, not in a theoretical way, but like as a daily thing.
It pisses me off. It breaks my heart.
So, get out and vote. We do a 4-part scoring where we talk about story, emotion, screencraft, and replayability. So, Jordan, for Orlando, what do you give it out of 5 for story?
I give it a 4 out of 5 for the story. I haven't read the book. This makes me want to read the book.
Anything that gets people reading is okay in my book. Emotional impact. Out of 5.
Also a 4. Yeah, it got to me for sure.
Then we talk about screencraft, and that's just those technical aspects of filmmaking.
I give it a 4.5 for craft. I keep thinking about that reviewer that said they feel like a fairy just enchanted all the air around them. I felt that.
Okay, and then finally, out of 5, replayability. Is this something you would watch again?
4.5, yeah. It's very rewatchable. So how would you rate the story?
Story, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I never really get when people are like, oh, I'm so disappointed with the film because it wasn't like the book. Well, it's not the book. To me, a great artist, a great filmmaker takes a book and makes it their own. And in this case, Sally Potter made Orlando her own film. And, that's all you can hope for, is you want an artistic take on something. Like, how do you even begin to slavishly copy something from a book so that everyone who's read the book is satisfied with point A to Z? I mean, that's impossible. We hear the stories about, like Stephen King famously hating The Shining, for instance. Like, fuck Stephen King. The Shining is a beautiful film, and it's so well crafted, and it's a take that only Stanley Kubrick could do on that film. So just relax. If you want to read the book, the book's not going anywhere. It's there. On the emotional scale, I would give it a 4 out of 5 for emotion. It's a very cool film to me. Just kind of not academic, but just a little bit more on the intellectual artistic side. Screencraft, I'm giving it a 5. Is this the first film I've given a 5?
I think so.
I think it's a perfect film visually. I think, especially given the budget, 5 out of 5. And replayability, I give it a 5 out of 5.
Oh my God.
I watch this film constantly. So it's on my continuous rotation, and I can pretty much put it on any time. It's the kind of film that just comforts me. It transports me. It makes me think at the same time. And it's just it's the kind of film I wish I had made. So that's our look at Orlando from 1992. I really recommend this film highly. I think it's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I think it's magical. And honestly, I can't wait to read the book and to watch it again.
And again, if you like your content created by real folks for real folks, please check that like and subscribe button. Let people know what we're doing here.
And we hope you join us for the rest of our Pride Extravaganza celebration. We've got more episodes coming. Please stick around.
All right. Until next time, I'm Christopher G.
I'm Jordan Sherwood. Trans folks, we love you.